Hey guys, I'm Mark with the Ovalrc, and today we're going to be doing some testing on a new motor. This new motor was just introduced by Traxxas, and starting October 1st, you're allowed to race this in the Mudboss class per Salvas rules. So Salvas said, hey, this thing's legal, but we got a problem. It's not even available yet, so we have to figure out how to get it, which we did. It comes in a four-wheel drive Slash, a four-wheel drive Stampede, and a four-wheel drive Rustler right now. And we're going to show you guys that in a little bit. With me right now is Dave Peak, and he's one of the most respected racers in the Mudboss class. That's why he's with me here today. Dave, this motor, we're going to be testing basically reliability. Going to be testing heat in the motor.
Correct.
Not really shooting for speed, right? We're seeing if it's fast as a 12T motor, but we're not really worried about getting the fastest time out of it, correct?
No, not at all, because if it becomes the motor that everybody runs, everybody's on the same motor anyway, so it doesn't matter how fast it is.
Right, so everybody will be on this motor eventually. I'm pretty pumped up about it. I mean, I've been a 12T racer ever since I started 5 years ago. I haven't ventured out into the brushless motor, so this is something new for me, not new for you. One of the things we want to look at is, can anybody tamper this motor, correct?
So far, what I can see, you can't get into it. Just similar to the 12-turn motor, as soon as you start to, there's marks left over, and you'll know if someone's been inside it.
Okay, so let's take a look at the motor in question, what we're talking about.
Great. So we removed the new brushless system from a four-wheel drive Traxxas truck and installed it into one of my favorite Peak Boss cars. First looks, you can see that the actual footprint of the speed control is much larger than what we had before. It will mount in the factory mounting positions in the center of the car, but I think most Mudboss drivers like to pound it off the left rear for added weight to the left side of the car. And this plug, super easy, no soldering involved. If you're used to brushless systems and other manufacturers, you do have to solder wires. You do not with the Traxxas. And it appears that the motor is tamper-proof, which is also nice for the classes that we run. The new brushless system motor is simple and easy to replace. Simply remove the two screws, pull the old motor out, bolt your new motor in, easy as that. So calibration is super easy, just like the old system. You simply take the power button, hold it on, wait till the red light to blink, it'll cycle through full throttle, neutral, and reverse. The green light goes fully green, you're good to go.
Okay, Dave's putting the body on right now, just putting the pins on the car. We're getting ready to run some tests here with the new brushless system. He ran the car earlier today, and it's pretty consistent with the 12T motor in there. The times are very close, but I'll show you guys the times, and we'll see what his laps look like.
Trenton Lawyer.
Dave is one of the most consistent guys that you'll see on the track when it comes to Mudboss racing. Practice day here, Full Throttle Speedway, so there is other cars on the track, but it's good to see how the car's racing with other cars. Looks good. Looks like there's a lot of torque from the motor about midway through the corner off. You can see the car flatten out about halfway down the straightaway. Got a fixed gear in there right now, a 1990. Gonna let Dave put quite a few laps on the car here, and we're gonna see how hot the motor gets. Again, we're looking for reliability. Make sure we can go out there and run that car for a while and not get too hot. Maybe you guys won't even need to have to run a fan on this motor. Right now, Dave is running the Trenton Lawyer transponder. Fast time is 6.035. Last lap 6.157 just changed, and the average lap 7.173. Okay, Dave's gonna pull the body off, see what kind of heat we got. I don't think, no heat at all? So you've been running about 20 laps out there, maybe more, maybe 30 laps, and room temperature, no heat at all in the motor whatsoever. Do we have a heat gun to try it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna grab a heat gun. He's gonna run some more laps. Full throttle has a set gearing rule. It's 1990. He's taking the temperature right now after coming off the track. 93.9. That's very cool for a motor, isn't it, Dave?
Absolutely. That motor, if it was 12 turn, would have been 120 degrees.
Yeah, about 120 it should have been, and after running about 30 laps, it's running very cool. So we're gonna go back and throw some gear to this motor, see if we can't heat up that motor, right?
Absolutely.
All right, let's see what we got. With the kit, you'll typically get a 23 tooth gear, so that's what he's gonna throw on here, make this motor work a little bit. See if we can build some heat in the motor. Not everybody runs a gear rule, and this is what we want to find out here, see how hot that motor will get. All right, we got the 2390 gear on there right now. You can see the car pulling a little harder down the straightaways. The popular gear to run used to be a 2290 here at full throttle till they made the gear rule. 23 is the gear that normally comes in the kit if you buy the slash kit. That car looks like it's getting around here pretty good. We'll have to check the time on it. We'll definitely have to check the heat on that car now. Dave is using the Trenton Lawyer transponder, and right now the fastest time is 5.928 with the last lap of 5.986. And the average lap's gonna be a little higher because he was running around making some pace laps. With the different gear in there, you guys can see there's definitely a big difference in time. Now we'll see if there's a big difference in heat. Gonna bring the car in now after running that 2390 gear. We're gonna check the heat on the motor.
104.
104 degrees, that's amazing because we put some gear to that car.
And honestly, the way the car felt on the track, a 22 would be about perfect for this track. You know, with more gear, it's certainly faster, and I think there's a lot left in this motor, and still the temp isn't that bad.
You could probably run maybe even a 24, 25 tooth gear.
You could, but on this particular track, you'd be over geared and you actually would go slower.
Okay guys, we got the 12T motor, the brush motor back in the car right now with the 1990 gear, and we'll be running a few laps with that, checking the time and also checking the heat on the motor. Last lap 6.094, fastest being a 5.904, and that's with the brushed motor in 1990 gear. You can see that the brushed motor is a lot faster.
I went out with the 12 turn setup with a 1990, which is our standard gear here, and I ran a 5904, which was faster than anything we've run all day. So now the track has come in. I just want to make sure that we're giving the brushless system a fair shake. So what we've done is we've put the brushless system back in, and I've gone to a 2090 gear, which I feel is more adequate for our racetrack.
Trenton Lawyer.
All right, we got the 2090 gear in right now. Back-to-back runs so we can get a really good idea what's going on. All right, we got the Trenton Lawyer transponder in Dave Peake's car right now. Last lap of 6.185 with the fastest of 6.046. 6123 is Dave's last lap with a fast time of 6.046.
They are. So we're still just a touch faster with a brushed 1990 than we are a brushless 2090.
Yes.
But very comparable, about a tenth.
Yeah. You want to make one more gear change while we're testing?
Let's try 21.
All right, we went back in. We put a 2190 on the car now. And that's 2 teeth difference on the pinion than the 12T. See if we can get this motor combo really close to the 12T. This test is with the BL-2 system in there, the brushless system. So far, he's got less than 5 laps on it right now. Looks like Dave's going to have some open room here to make some quick laps. Let's see what the times look like. From what I can tell, looks like the average lap got a little quicker. He's now running 6.101 lap time with the fastest of a 6.040. Car picked up a little bit of speed with the average lap being 6.058 while last lap, with the average speed of 6.155, constantly in the 6.0s. 6.052, 6.052, 6.065, 6.060.
The 21 felt better, but I guess, something else we have to consider in this whole equation is when we went out with the 1990, we also went out with fresh, clean tires. These two back-to-back runs at a 20 and a 21, we had tires right off the track. So that could also play into the effect of the lap time.
All right, so after these series of tests here, as a track promoter here at Full Throttle, what would be your decision as of today with the testing we did with the BL-2 motor? If you were to mix the brush 12 turn and the BL2 together, what would be your decision and how would you handle that?
As of right now, because of the brushless system isn't available, I'm not going to mix them. But when it becomes available, there's a group of us that would sit down and take the data we learned from today. But my gut feeling tells me that it's going to be a 20 or 2190 to make the brushless system the same speed as the 1990 brushed system. But again, we'll evaluate it when the time comes, but this was a great test today. I really like the idea of the brushless system. It's super easy to install, super easy to use. It's very cost effective. And I think the dependability of that motor is going to be much better than what we have it right now with the brush motors. So I favor making the change, but I don't favor having the racers spend a lot of money all at once. So we'll phase one in and phase one out.
Dave, why don't you tell everybody what we're doing right now?
Sure, we're going to take the brushless motor out and give it a quick inspection. So the end cap on this engine, or motor, pops off, and there's your bearing. It's a sensorless unit, so even if you tamper with it and change things around, there's really nothing you can do.
Why is that, Dave?
Well, it's the only thing you can really change out of this would be the rotor. The rotor has the fan, which I assume is epoxied to it, so there really isn't any way you can play with that. There's tabs that you can clearly see if they were tampered with. So as far as from a tech aspect, this seems to be a pretty solid unit for someone to tech. So everything is attached here, so it can't be spun. So again, it is sensorless, so even there's no timing adjustment in this motor.
So you can crank on that end.
It doesn't do anything.
It ain't going to do anything. It's just a cap, right?
Correct. So really the only thing you do is you could upgrade the rotor, but to get it out, you'll see marks here, and of course that fan is epoxied, so to find another one to match, virtually impossible. So this motor is, again, I don't want to use the word tamper-proof, because someone's always going to figure out a way. But from our aspect, teching these is going to be very simple.
Okay, guys, so we did a lot of tests on this motor here to see how things went, and it left us with some questions, definitely. It wasn't black and white that this motor is going to be faster than this motor, or that you can really set a gear to that, because it's going to take some testing as far as average laps to see which motor is going to perform better under what gearing, right?
Yeah, especially too, the track shape and size is going to make a difference. We have a very large track and momentum is huge. So I think the 12-turn motor has an advantage here. Where you make it to a paper clip or a sharper corner track, where the brushless motor with more torque may be the advantage.
Yeah, we found out that Salvas currently has the rule that if you have a set gearing that you run one pinion under with that brushless motor, and that's not going to work out, is it?
Not at every track, so I think each individual track should take it upon themselves to do testing like we did and come up with a solution that works for both. And I also want to say that, Eric Salvas did some testing, and he is excellent. His findings certainly hold valid to his racetrack. And again, every racetrack is going to have to do their own testing because of shape and size, conditions. So it really comes down to the promoter, the race director, and the racers to come up with a solution that works for everybody.
Currently, the price on that seemed to be right around $119. Longevity point of view and heat point of view, what do you think?
I think they're going to outlast the brushless motor, or brushed motor, obviously. But also, too, it depends on what the racer has. We've got a huge bunch of racers that have been racing 12-tier now for years, and they have such an arsenal of motors built up. So it won't happen overnight, and especially won't happen overnight here at Full Throttle.
Right now, guys are taking brushed motors and they're breaking them in to get faster. That's not going to be the case anymore, is it?
No, I think that a novice or entry-level person could take one of these right out of the box, the brushless motors, and put them in the car and be competitive. So that's a great thing, too.
What kind of prep are the racers going to have to do in order to find a good motor?
That's simple. I think right out of the box, they're all going to be very similar. I would imagine within 1% of each other. So that magic unicorn motor isn't going to exist.
Okay, well, I'm back in the studio after that long 4-hour ride home, and I can tell you guys it was totally worth it because I learned a lot about that Traxxas BL-2s system. Now I'm going over the video editing and learning even more about it. I'd like to share it with you guys. I put together this board here. It basically summarizes our test session that we had. Dave brought out his winning Mudboss car with his winning 12T Titan motor in there. He ran a 1990 gear with a fast time of 5.904. Kind of important because he won a race, the AMOS race, on 4.223 with a time of 5.988, very similar to that time. On 2.2323, Kevin Les scored one with a time of 5.965 and a top 3 time of 6.037. So if we look up at our testing that we did with the new Traxxas BL-2s system, we ran a 1990 gear, and the fast time was 6.035. So yes, the new brushless system is slower than the Titan 12T when you go head-to-head for gear at Full Throttle Speedway. The BL-2s system ran an average of 6.110, and it was 1/10 slower overall than the 12T. Now we bumped up the gear. We went to a 2390, upped it 4 teeth on the pinion, and it had a fast time of 5.928, which is closer to this time here. And the average time over 5 laps was 6.015. It was 0.02 of a second faster than the 12T Titan with the 23-tooth gear. We also tried a 2190, but after the first test session, Dave thought that the 2290 was going to be the right gear for the new motor if you're going to mix it with the 12T, and I think he's correct. I think those numbers will fall right into place with the Titan 12T. But to give you guys my personal opinion, I don't think they should mix the two classes together because I don't think Traxxas are going to take the time to figure out what gear they need to run with each motor to make it fair for the racers. And you could lose racers. So January 1st, 2024, I would say just start a new class with the BL-2s system. I think with the brushless motor, it's going to be low maintenance. Should be very close in times right out of the box. I think this class is going to thrive. And you can keep your 12T Titan class for the rookies and the novice. I think that's what Salvas really wanted anyway. So I want to thank Dave Peak for helping me out. What a great day spending it with him. And thank you, Jennifer Holt, Full Throttle Speedway. And good to see everybody, all the racers up there. I had a great time with all you today. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I'm Mark with the Ovalrc. We'll see you next one.